Hey guys, what's up? It's me, Cyber from Cyber Tech, and today I'm going to be showing you guys about Express. So Express is a JavaScript library which allows you to create a HTTP server, a web server. So I can create a web server in Node.js using Express. Now you might be wondering, how is this different than the standard Node.js web server? Well, with Express, it's way easier to use because it has built-in routing support instead of you having to write your own way of routing with the built-in Node.js way of doing stuff, and it automatically has easy ways to send strings or send files as responses and stuff like that, and we will get into that in just a second. So here's this package.json. I'll have a link to download this in the video description. But this is basically just, this has two scripts, a watch script that will watchify index.js/script.js, and this start, which is node index.js. The reason why we have this is we have watchify because I am going to be using some libraries inside of the script.js, and then this node index.js will just run the actual web server, and then here dependencies, it specifies dependencies. So all you need to do is download this package.json, put it in its own directory, and then just run npm install while you're in that directory, and it should install it for you just fine. Okay? So what we can do now is we can just get started. So assuming you have run npm install, it should create this node modules folder for you, and it will have all of these files here, but that's just fine. So let's get started. So first we will create a new file, and this will be index.js. So what we will declare is we'll do var express. So this the express library is equal to require express. So this will actually require the Express JavaScript library. Now we will declare app. So var app is equal to express, and we'll just call that function. And what that will do is basically give us like a web server instance in a way, because this Express, like, it just has like the entire library right here, and then this will like instantiate an instance for our web server. Now that we have created our app variable with instance of Express, like so, which it isn't technically speaking an instance of Express, but you can think of it as one. And now what we can do is we can start using it. So we can do app dot, and then we can do get. So what this will do is it will create a path. So I can say path slash, which is like root. So if you go to a website like google.com or my website, CaptainCyberTech.com, and at the end there's a slash, or if you're on a different page than the home page, it'll be slash whatever, or slash index.php or index.html, or something like slash articles slash article title, like, or you know, whatever the title of the article is, slash view or something like that. This is basically that part after CaptainCyberTech.com. This is just it's this thing after that slash. So if you just do a slash, it means when you go to just CaptainCyberTech.com, that's what shows up. How you can do slash articles, and that will show you all, and you can make that do whatever you want. And so that's just another way to route. This is called routing, and each one of these is called a path, and then when you define what that path does, the whole thing together is called a route. So app.get slash, and now we will create a function, and this function will be called, will have two parameters, rec and res. So the rec is the request, and res is the response. So the response is what response are you going to give, and then the rec is the request. It basically tells you additional things like what kind of client was used. Was it a web server? Was it somewhat like curl on a like terminal, for example? And we can do this. And now what we can do is we can do a response. Now what we can do is we can do res, so for response, dot, and here what we can do is we can do send file. So this will allow you to actually send a file to the client. So here we will ask you for the one parameter that you need is what file do you want to send. So in this case, this, I will just create a new file, index.html, and I will just create a new file right here, index.html, and then inside of this file, I will just say HTML, test website, and then we will just say, hi peoples, right? Because that is awesome. After we set up app.get/, we need to tell it where to listen to, on what port. So what we can do is we can do app.listen, and then inside of here we can specify what port we want to listen to. So the port is basically where every program on your computer that talks to another program or to another computer will allocate what's known as a port. So you need to find one that is not used on your computer. Port 80 is the standard used by web servers, so when you go to google.com, google.com is being run on port 80 on Google's servers. So Express creates a server, so you need to set your own port. So port 80 is the standard. However, port 80 is quite often blocked by something like Skype. Skype is notorious for blocking port 80. So what I like doing is I just do port 1337. And the only difference that you have to do is to tell your web browser when you're going to your server to use this port is you need to go to whatever website :1337, and I will show you that. And now we can also give it a function, and this will just be a callback function saying we'll just log listening on port 1337. So we'll just log that out. Or better yet, if you wanted to, you could declare a constant up here, a const, which is like port, and then just set it, and then just put it in there. But for the sake of this video, we will not do that. So one more thing that you need to do is this path right here for res.sendFile has to be a absolute path, not a relative path. So you can't do just index.html and expect it to get this index.html here. Instead, what you can, however, do is __dir name, which points to the current directory, Express, this directory here, and it gives it the absolute path, plus, and then you can do /index.html, and it will actually do the index.html right here. Now, what we can do is we can run npm start, and you see now it's listening on port 1337. So now we can just open up a web browser. I like Google Chrome, and I recommend you also use Google Chrome because Google Chrome supports the latest in JavaScript ES6. However, so far all the JavaScript we've written is server-side, so it doesn't matter what browser you use. So now what we will do is we will go to localhost. This basically says my computer, and then :1337, which tells it which port that you're accessing, port 1337. So this is just some very simple Express. Here you can add as many paths as you want. Here we have /. You can also do /home, /article, /whatever. However, this is something very basic. Now, what we can do is, after running this very basic Express setup, what we can do is we can create a JavaScript file, so a client-side JavaScript file. So what I will do is I'll just create a new file called js/script.js. So the difference between a client-side and a server-side JavaScript file is that a server-side JavaScript file will be run on your web server. In this case, it's your computer right here. Now, the script.js, the client-side file, will be run inside of a web browser. So Google Chrome, it will be run in a client. So in most cases, that will be a web browser. Now, here's the thing with client-side scripts, though, is that when you do something client-side inside of Express, you want to set like the path to be able to access script.js. So you probably want to do something like app.get, and we will do /js /js/script.js. For this, we will do function rec res for response, and then we'll just do res.send file, and we will pass in __dir name, and we will add-on slash js slash in slash script dot js. So what this will do is it will take the directory name and append js slash script.js to it, and it will serve this file right here, so the script.js inside this JS folder. So now, since this is client side, we can't use things, we can just like run regular JavaScript here. So I can do document.write hi people again. And now I can link it here using, I can add it here using script tags. So script src, script source, js slash script.js, right? So, and if we restart our server right here, npm start, it will say, it will start the server right here, and it will go here, and we refresh, and it says hi people again, and that is actually running that JavaScript. However, what if we want to include JavaScript libraries in here using npm or Node Package Manager? We could use client-side libraries such as jQuery and stuff like that. You can install just from Node.js inside your terminal and then just use it inside your JavaScript file. So that's where Browserify comes in. Now here it takes in the JavaScript and then script.js, js slash script.js, the JavaScript file, and we can tell it to output a bundle.js. So /js slash bundle.js. So what this will do is it will set a bundle.js, which is like everything inside of script.js, including everything it inputs, everything it asks for, everything all together, everything it requires, all together put into a bundle.js file. And then inside, what we can do inside index.html is we can just include this bundle.js. And so right now, if we just, and also we need to set this to allow the bundle.js to be accessible, because in Express, if we don't explicitly allow the bundle.js to be accessible by specifying these paths and making sure they're the same, then it won't be accessible from the outside. If you want, you might want to declare a function saying allow local file, and then inside there you can just pass in this path to specify which local file you want allowed to be accessible from the web server. But, you know, whatever, because I'm only going to be demonstrating with one right now. And so we can do this. Now, if you look here inside of our package.json, we're saying this on the watch script, so this will execute whenever you run npm watch. So if I open up a terminal here, so what I can do is I can just come here and I can do npm run watch. And what this will do is it will run the watch script, and it will watchify script.js, it will watch script.js for changes, and package it in a bundle.js. So here's our bundle.js, and right now it just has some basic, you know, Browserify stuff that Browserify just puts in. And then here's our line right here. So right now we aren't including any library, so it just imports the stuff in as is. However, now we can actually do some cool stuff. Now, you want to be able to access your terminal while still being able to run this command. So what I recommend doing is running it inside the background like that, which if you know about Linux, that's just something that you can do on Linux. So this is just as if I opened up another terminal window, another command prompt window, and this is like a fresh command prompt, even though that the watch command is still running in the background. So now what we can do is we can actually install libraries. So for example, npmi, and this is short for npm install. And now we can install --save, and we can install any library we want. So for example, I like Yo-Yo. I just did a video on Yo-Yo, so if you want, check it out. There'll be a card in the upper right hand corner. And so here we will install Yo-Yo, which can take some time. And now it's done. So here now, what we can do is we can do var yo equals require Yo-Yo. So requiring in Yo-Yo will require in like the actual Yo-Yo library now. Now, usually a browser wouldn't be able to parse this, but if we look into our bundle.js, look at all the stuff that it added, which is actually like what's inside of the Yo-Yo file, the yo-yo library. And so now that we've done this, we can do something like var el is equal to yo. And if you don't know what I'm doing right now, I'm just using yo-yo. Check out the video that I showed in the upper right hand corner earlier to see this, my video on yo-yo. So we will just yo h1 slash h1 hi. Okay, so now that we've declared our element, we can do we can change its style, so any standard JavaScript stuff that you can do to any other element. Style color, for example, is equal to red, you know, whatever. And then now we can just document body append child, and we'll append child el. And boom, it works. So we can refresh, it's right there. And this is all because of Express and Browserify together, we are able to, one, require modules from our package.json file right here, that we've installed using Node, such as yo-yo, or if you wanted, you could use jQuery, or, you know, whatever other libraries you like to use client side. You can use them here using Browserify, and use server-side libraries right here using Express, which allows you to, you know, it has a very nice complex routing system. This routing system is quite amazing. It's a really good one. It's very easy to use. If you look into things like PHP routing is usually quite more complex. I wish all routing systems were this easy. Now I know there are few that are this easy, but most of them aren't, and this is just amazing. I have never seen an easier routing system to use. So until next time, I'll catch you on my website, captaincybertech.com, or on Twitter at captaincybertech. That's at captaincybertech. Captain Cyber TEK, all one word, no caps. And I'll see you in the next video. Wow.